Hello and a very warm welcome to the Bharata First podcast. This is Frank Rausan Pereira doing a reading of C.Raja.Gopalachari's Mahabharata. Chapter 82 The Sindhu King. News of Arjuna's oath reached the enemy. The spies informed Duryodhana's friend that Arjuna, having learnt that Jayadratha was the cause of Abhimanyu's death, had vowed to kill the Sindhu king before sunset next day. Vriddakshatra, the illustrious king of the Sindhus, was blessed with a son, who was named Jayadratha. At the time of the birth of the prince, a voice was heard to say, "This prince will attain great glory, and he will attain the happy regions above, slain in battle." One who among the warriors of all ages ranks among the most illustrious will, in the field of battle, sever his head from the body. All living beings must die, but hardly any, however wise or brave, welcome it. Vriddakshatra was grieved to hear the voice declare his son's end. In this disturbed state of mind, he uttered a curse. "He who shall cause my son's head to roll down from the ground shall have his head burst at that very moment into fragments." Jayadratha grew up, and when he reached manhood, Vriddakshatra handed over the care of the state to the prince and retired to the forest, where he spent the evening of his days in austerities in an ashrama near the plain, which afterwards became the Kurukshetra field of battle. When Jayadratha came to know about Arjuna's vow, he remembered the prediction about his death and feared his end was near. "I do not want to be in this battle any longer. Let me go back to my country," he said to Duryodhana. "Do not fear, Sandhava," replied Duryodhana. "Here are all these veterans and warriors who will stand between you and danger. Karna, Chitrasena, Vivimsati, Bhurishravas, Salya, Vrishasena, Purumitra, Jaya, Bhoja, Kamboja, Sudakshina, Satyavrata, Vikarna, Durmukha, Dushasana, Subahu, Kalinga, and the Avanti princes along with Drona, Drona's illustrious son, and Shakuni, and all these warriors and I myself are here, and you cannot be in danger. The whole of my army will have but one task today, to defend you against Arjuna. You should not leave us now." Jayadatta agreed to remain. He went to Drona and said to him, "Master, you taught me and Arjuna, and you know us both well. What is your appraisal of us two?" "Son, I discharged my duties as teacher and dealt with you both impartially. The instruction was the same to you and to Arjuna, but Arjuna excels because of his superior discipline and his own practice. But you need not be discouraged by this. You will be placed behind a strong force which Arjuna cannot easily pierce. Fight according to the tradition of your ancestors. Death comes to us all, cowards as well as brave men, and the warrior dying in battle attains with ease the happy regions which others only attain with great difficulty. Discard fear and fight." Drona, having spoken thus to Jayadratha, proceeded to marshal the forces for the next day. 12 miles to the rear of the main army, Jayadratha and his detachment were placed in a strongly guarded position. Bhurishravas, Karna, Ashwathama, Salya, Vrishasena, and Kripa were there with all their forces. Between them and the Pandava army, Dronacharya arrayed the main Kaurava forces in circular formation. This was backed and supported by a lotus formation, which again was supported by a spike-headed force. Beyond this stood Jayadratha. Drona stood at the head of the circular army, resplendent in white armor and helmet, seated in his great chariot, drawn by beautiful chestnut-colored horses, and his flag waved high, displaying the sacrificial platform and deerskin which formed Drona's banner, inspiring the Kaurava army to utmost sacrifice and valor. Duryodhana saw the army formation, and his confidence was restored. With a force consisting of 1,000 armed chariots, 100 elephants, 3,000 horsemen, 10,000 foot soldiers, and 1,500 archers, Durmarshana, one of the sons of Dhritarashtra, moved forward the main army and blew his conch and uttered his challenge. "Where is Dhananjaya, of whose wrath the prowess men speak? Let him come forward, and striking against us like a pot upon a rock, break to pieces before the eyes of warriors." Arjuna stopped his car at a bow shot and a half and blew his conch in answer. Then conches blew all over in the Kaurava army. "Keshava, drive towards Durmarshana," said Arjuna, We shall pierce the line of elephants. Durmarshana's army was beaten. Like clouds driven about by a gale, the Kaurava forces were scattered and fled in all directions. When Dushasana saw this, his anger rose. Leading a huge force of elephants, he surrounded Arjuna. Dushasana was a very wicked man, but he was also brave. He fought Arjuna fiercely, and the field was strewn with the dead. Finally, he withdrew defeated and went back to join Drona's forces. Savyasachi's car swiftly proceeded forward and passed Drona. Illustrious one, grieving for my son, I have come to wreak havoc on the Sindhu king. I crave your blessings for the fulfillment of my vow, said Arjuna to the Acharya. The Acharya smiled and said, Arjuna, you must first fight and defeat me before you can reach Jayadatta. Saying this, Drona discharged a shower of arrows on Arjuna's car. Partha also replied with his arrows, but these the Acharya parried with ease and sent flaming shafts that hit Krishna and Arjuna. The Pandava then decided to cut Drona's bow and bent his Gandiva for that purpose. Even as he was pulling his bowstring, Drona's shaft came and cut the string. The Acharya, still retaining the smile on his face, rained a shower of arrows on Arjuna and his horses and chariot. Arjuna fought back, but the Acharya showered his arrows, which covered Arjuna and his chariot in darkness. Krishna saw things were not going at all well and said, Partha, no more waste of time. Let us proceed. It is no use fighting this Brahmana, who seems to know no fatigue. Saying this, Krishna drove Arjuna's chariot to the left of the Acharya and proceeded forward. Stop! Surely you will not proceed without defeating your enemy. You are my guru, not my enemy, O Acharya. I am in the position of a son to you. There is no one in the wide world that can defeat you, said Arjuna, and they proceeded forward at a swift pace by passing Drona. Then Arjuna pierced the Bhoja army. Kritavarma and Sudakshina, who opposed his passage, were defeated. Shrutayudha also tried to stop Arjuna's progress. There was a fierce battle in which Shrutayudha lost his horses and he hurled his mace at Krishna. His mother had obtained this mace as a result of her offering, but the condition attached to the boon operated and it came back and struck Shrutayudha himself dead. This is the story of the mace. Parnasa went through penances which pleased Varuna and obtained from that god a boon that her son Shrutayudha may not be killed by any enemy. I shall give your son a divine weapon. Let him use it in all his battles. No enemy will be able to defeat or kill him. But he should not use the weapon against the one who does not fight. If he does, the weapon will recoil and kill him. Saying this, God Varuna gave a mace. Shrutayudha, when fighting Arjuna, disregarding the injunction, hurled the mace at Krishna, who was not fighting but was only driving Arjuna's chariot. The missile hit Janardana's chest and immediately rebounded fiercely back to Shrutayudha, and like a demon recoiling fatally on the magician that commits an error in uttering the spell of power that holds it in thrall, it slew Shrutayudha and laid him dead on the field like a great forest tree blown down by a storm. Then the king of Kamboja led his forces against Arjuna. After a fierce fight, he lay stretched dead on the field like a great flagstaff after the festival is over. When they saw the strong warriors, Shrutayudha and the king of Kamboja slain, the Kaurava forces were in great confusion. Shrutayu and his brother Ashrutayu then attacked Partha on both sides, trying to save the situation, and greatly harassed him. At one stage of his battle, Arjuna leaned on the flagstaff, dazed with the wounds he received. But Krishna spoke to him encouragingly, and Arjuna recovered and resumed the fight, slaying the two brothers as well as their two sons, who continued the struggle. Arjuna marched on and, killing many more warriors, successfully made his way to Jayadratha.
That's it in this chapter. This is Frank Rausan Pereira, signing off.
Do like and subscribe to the podcast, and also do the same on YouTube, along with hitting the bell icon. Please follow Bharata First on Twitter and Instagram as well.